All right. Hey ho, let's go. My name is Mark Calendari, and this is Resistance Radio, where natural selection selects for resistance and public health tries to keep up without tripping over its own shoelaces. So today we're talking about something incredibly exciting, websites and PDFs. Ooh, I know, don't all cheer at once. But in 2026, some of the biggest infectious diseases news isn't just the bugs, it's the megaphone. So let's start with the global smoke alarm. The World Health Organization runs the disease outbreak news, this running list of health events that might go international, from hemorrhagic fevers to, I don't know, something weird is happening and we're not sure what it is yet. Think of it as a early warning text thread for the planet. Only instead of your friend saying, "Hey, it's raining," it's WHO saying, "Hey, this virus has a 40% case fatality rate. Maybe pay attention." And if you had 10 people in a room, only 4 of them didn't walk out, you would not call that mild. But over in Atlanta, the CDC is still quietly doing the very unquiet work of tracking the stuff that actually walks through our hospital doors. Their current outbreak list features things like measles, dengue, foodborne E. coli from raw cheddar, and salmonella from herbal supplements, along with travel-related infections like Oropochi virus. Now, this is a practical checklist for frontline clinicians. If someone walks up with a fever and a rash and a passport stamp and a love of unpasteurized cheese, you just don't shrug and reach for the azithromycin. You ask a few more questions, you throw on a mask, and you may call for infection control before it becomes a waiting room surprise party. Excuse me. See, I wear my mask while I round. Okay, now zoom into Texas, where the state health department is already reporting West Nile virus this year and warning about travel-related measles exposure in West Africa. West Nile is one of those diseases people forget about until it's August, and then they have a fever, and suddenly mosquitoes aren't just annoying; they are epidemiology with wings. If you want to picture risk, imagine your whole city as a big backyard barbecue. You don't need every mosquito to be infected, just enough of them biting enough people to keep the virus bouncing around all summer. But here's the twist. While all this is happening, our main public health loudspeaker has been intermittently unplugged. Earlier this year, federal agencies, including the CDC, went through a communications freeze, and for the first time in decades, an issue of the MMWR, the beloved wonky weekly heartbeat of public health, did not appear on schedule. MMWR stands for measles. God. The Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report. Okay, if you're a clinician or a hospital leader, that's like your telemetry monitor suddenly going blank in the middle of a code. Maybe the patient is fine, maybe they're not. You just know the one thing you depended on is suddenly dark. So now enter the New England Journal of Medicine and CIDRAP, striding in like, "Fine, if you won't talk, we will." And they've announced a new series of public health alerts hosted in New England Journal Evidence, designed to quickly push out outbreak data and vaccination relevant updates to fill the gap when federal channels are delayed or muted. Think of it as a second independent siren on the wall. If one system is offline, the other one can still yell fire. For bedside clinicians and hospitalists, this matters because your sepsis pathways, your PPE policies, and your vaccine counseling are only as good as the information flowing in. And all of this is happening against a backdrop of Johns Hopkins and others who keep reminding us that emerging and re-emerging infections are not random lightning strikes. They're the predictable outcomes of climate shifts, of travel, of antimicrobial misuse. Dengue, West Nile, hantavirus, measles. These aren't museum pieces. They're repeat offenders who just keep getting new travel visas and better lawyers. If you want a mental image, imagine our health system as big as an apartment building with leaky pipes. You can keep mopping the floor, but if you don't fix the plumbing, vaccination gaps, underfunded surveillance, policy-driven communication freezes, you're going to be very familiar with that mop. So what do we do with all this? For clinicians, refresh your differential. Fever and rash in 2026 is not just a viral exanthem, discharge without reassurance. It may discharge with reassurance. It may be measles, dengue, or something on that WHO list you may have never thought you'd see. Make friends with your local health department and with these alternative health systems. If one channel goes silent, you know where the backup is. For health systems, invest in infection prevention like you mean it. It's not like an optional here, okay? Build policies that assume information may be delayed and plan for redundancy in your data streams. And for the rest of us, stay up to date on your vaccines. Please stay up to date on your vaccines. It's easier than memorizing which exotic virus is circulating this week. Support public health infrastructure. If you wouldn't fly in a plane without air traffic control, don't live through a pandemic without robust surveillance. We would like to say the virus doesn't care about politics, but our policies absolutely shape how many chances the virus gets. So natural selection is just doing its job either way. The question is whether we'll let misinformation, underfunding, and silence evolve faster than our response. So this is Resistance Radio, where natural selection selects for resistance. And we're here to make sure the most contagious thing in your community is good information and not the virus. Thanks.